Hey people, alright, I'm going to be making a video on this Black & Decker heat detector. It's kind of like a laser heat detector. Cost about $40-50 online. There's a lot of videos online about this thing, so my video is not going to be any special, any different, but you can see the settings over there. You get 1 degree difference. Let's try to zoom in. 1 degree, 5 degree, and 10 degree. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to show you what that means. Turn this sucker on now. I'm going to point it towards the door to get a temperature reading of what the door is. The reference at the top is 79.5. Okay, so that's green. Now, by adjusting this switch, that's a range of 1 degree, 5, or 10. What that means is that if you've got green right now, if you move it to something that's 5 degrees hotter or colder, you'll get a different color. If you move it 10 degrees colder, you get a different color. 1 degree difference, you get a different color. Okay, so right now we're at green. I'm going to go to the door edge, and I've put some sealant in there. So that's pretty impressive that the door gap, the door seam between the molding and the door door is holding the temperature fairly well. That wasn't doing that a while ago. Well, what are we at? We're at, let me go pop this down to 1 degree. Okay, so we're at 79, which is the reference, and that's the green. And I'm going to move it over. 1 degree difference. You can see it's only 1 degree. That's fairly impressive. This is a metal door. I'm going to follow this down. You can see the color over there and how it changes. And this is how you're able to tell. See, I have to consider that this is a metal door and it's a metal frame. And even if I put a lot of insulation there, you cannot insulate a metal door too well. But you can see that there's 4 degrees difference. The door over there is even colder now. It's metal, so there's only so much you can do with something like this. Let's go zoom up a little bit. And the advantage is that when your temperature changes, you'll go from a different color. You go from blue to red. I'm still holding fairly well. 78. It's not that bad. This definitely is impressive. I'm probably going to get a huge reading difference soon. There we are right now, that little gap over there. See, that's 3 or 4 degrees difference. Still doing fairly well. Maybe it's going to get colder when I hit the metal over here. 76. Doorknob, what happens when we hit the doorknob? 76. Let's go down to the threshold. That's where you really should see a big difference in temperature. Look at that. It just went down 6 degrees. Now, the problem is that this is metal. So I've got a metal threshold. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can zoom in to try to narrow this down. The floor is 73 degrees. The floor is 75 degrees when I'm a couple inches away. But as I move closer to the door, that's because I've got a wood floor. It's on a concrete slab, and when I get right over to the threshold, I drop down. So that's 6 degrees. The door, look at that, the door is even colder, 71. So this would be a problem. If you're trying to insulate your place, this would definitely be a problem. And with something like this, it's not going to be attractive, but probably the only thing I can really do for nighttime protection is go put, you can't really put a sweeper down there. You just have to put a towel or some socks or something just to seal it up at night, because there's not a lot you can do when you're dealing with metal on metal. All right, let's go find another part of the house to do some checking. Okay, we're back to the reference, 79 degrees, but the wall over here is showing 76. Now it's going to get colder as I get down the wall. There's air flowing through this building, and unless I want to open up the walls and shove insulation, in everything, which I don't, because it would be, I don't want to tear the place apart. But as I get to the molding, that's where you're going to see the temperature is just going to go crazy. It's actually holding pretty well, which it shouldn't be doing. I did seal that up. I sealed that. I put some caulking between the molding and the molding. Let me go reset this. Okay, right now we're at 76 degrees. You can see the reference. This is a bathroom shower tiled wall. Now, look at what happens as I start going up the wall. A little warmer, which is kind of odd, very odd. This is the outside wall is right opposite of this. But there is a skylight over here. So we're at 77 degrees. I'm going to move into the skylight. Can I get a good view of that? We're at 71. We're down 6 degrees. And now we're at 68. Look at that. So we're almost 10 degrees difference. Just, I'm pointing towards the ceiling right now. Look at that. I'm pointing towards the ceiling, and I'm 72. So, okay. Let's look at this again. We're at 76 degrees is the reference. It's showing the wall is 76. It's getting warmer as I'm going down, which is a little odd. But watch what happens. Oh, look at that. Let me get it right back over there. It just went red a second ago. There is something in there that just went red. I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture that again. Let's try. But using a tool like this is how you're able to find out what's going on behind the walls, unless you want to go out and spend $1,200 on an infrared camera. Okay, let's go down to the floor. This is where you're going to see what happens. It's 75 degrees. Color, you can still see the color. 74, 73. That's an outside wall. 6 degrees. Now let's go over to the floor. Look at that. Look at the difference. So we're losing an incredible amount of heat in that area. Okay, now you can see what's going on. I opened up the curtains, and now we're at 72, 73. The glass, 72. The outside, it's showing it's about 71. So the big question becomes, all right, look at that. I'm pointing towards the heater vent, and we're at 87 degrees. Let's get right on that heater vent, and now we're at 91 degrees. So the big question becomes, how much money do you want to really spend? Do you want to tear open all your walls for things that you can't fix? If you see a definite leak, then yeah, maybe you want to, but it's a tough question. It's easier for me to wait for a cold day, wait for a breeze to be outside, put some water on my fingers, feel the dampness when I feel the breeze, and then seal up that gap so that there's no air leakage. And so my advice is, this is a really cool item, definitely, because you can get temperature differences. I'm in the kitchen right now. Remember, the reference in the bedroom was 83 on the wall, but on the wood floor it's 78. When it becomes colder during the winter, it's going to be probably 70. So this is a nice tool. It's cheap. It's about 50 bucks, so you can get something that will help you. But again, I said there's only so much you can do unless you want to go spending hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars and breaking open walls, which most of us don't want to do. Your best bet is to wait for a windy day, stand by a door or window, and move your wet finger around the molding and try to feel a breeze hitting that finger. And then you want to try to seal that up with caulking or weather stripping. Same for the doors. You might want to do this around your window sills. If you have the old style windows, you might want to do it around your light switches around plumbing where the pipe comes through the wall. A lot of people, if you look under their kitchen sink, their bathroom sink, there's an enormous amount of gaposis between the wall and the pipe. So, yeah, you can spend an incredible amount of money and try to solve a problem, but you're probably going to spend a huge amount of money, and it might not even be worth it, unless you're really losing an enormous amount of heat with walls that are not insulated. In a place like mine, where my heating bill's not that expensive, I use caulking and weather stripping and some sealants and do the best I can, and then I realize there's only so much I can do, and leave it at that. So hopefully this thing was helpful for you. My advice is don't spend a fortune to try to fix a problem which you probably can't fix. Do what you can to make it a little better, and live with the air leakage.